Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will discuss about that today's problem of the day that's name is predict the column. That's name is predict the column. So now we have to be moving on problem statement. Okay, so you have given a matrix which is a 2D array of m. Means you have given a matrix which is name called f. Okay, m. Okay, and this having a size n into n, and basically it is consisting zeros and ones only. The task is to find the column with maximum number of zeros, and our task is to find that maximum number of zeros. If more than one column exists, suppose of that there are the two column which is having exist uh, same number of zeros, so you will simply return which comes first. Okay, I hope you have to be understood very well. So if the maximum number of zeros is 0, then return minus 1. Okay, so if the maximum number of zeros is zeros, so you will return minus 1. Okay, so basically the meaning is that if nothing is the zero is uh, having in this matrix, so you will simply return minus 1. I hope you have to be able to understood that what is the logic behind this. Okay, so now we have to be moving on problem example. Okay, so this is having a zeroth column which is, and there are the two zeros only existing into the zeroth column. I hope you are very well to know that what is the logic behind this. So this is a zeroth column and having a number of zeros is 2. I hope you have to be understood very well. And this is a first column. So this is the first column, and you can simply check that the number of zeros is 2 is also, and second column having a 0 is 1. So because of that there are the same number of zeros existing in index 0 and index 1 of column. So that's why we will return 0. Why? Because zeroth index will come first into that column wise. I hope you have to be understood very well. The column wise is this. So that's why the zeroth index will come first. Okay. Now we have to be moving on another example which is having a, so this is number of zeros in this zeroth column is 2. I hope you have to be understood. Number of zeros into that zeroth column is 2, and number of zeros into that a first column is 3. You can simply check that. Okay, and number of zeros into that a second column is 1. So the highest number of zeros into that first column, so that's why we will return 1. I hope you have to be understood what is the problems in intuition. Okay, now how to solve that and what is the logic behind this. Now we have to moving on. Okay, so basically this is an example. Okay, so you will simply run a loop into that column wise, just like it. This is your outer for loop. My mistake. This is your outer for loop which is having a I is equal to 0, and I is less than n and I plus plus. I hope you have to be understood very well. Now this is the second inner loop. Okay, which is having a j is equal to 0 and j less than n and j plus plus. Basically we have to be running a two for loop to traversing this matrix. Okay, j plus plus. Now our intuition that we have to be traversing the loopwise. So what we will do, we will simply check that if this column index, how to check this column index, m stand for, m denotes that matrix and j denote that row, okay, and I denote that column. Now I'm again explaining you, don't worry about it, why I'm writing these types. J, suppose j is 0 initial time and I is equal to 0. So matrix of 0 and 0, m of 0 and 0 is stand for this. Now again j is equal to 1. So j is equal to 1 and I is equal to 0. So 1 comma 0 is stand for this number. That's why we have to be return these types. Okay. Now again we have to be running a for loop of j, of that inner for loop. So j is less than 3. So we have to be moving these element, which is 2 and having an index 0. I hope you have to be understood. So if these index element is equal to 0, now we have to be take some operation. What operation? First of all, we will take some variable which is having a current. The current is that to counting that current 0th element. I hope we have to be able to understand. Okay. Now we will check that if now if it is equal to 0, then what we will do, we will simply current variable have to be increment. Why? Because of that we have to be encounter these in this column having a 0. So that's why we have to be increment. I hope you have to be understood. Now we have to be move on outer loop. Outer loop. After that traversing that first column. After that traversing the first column. Suppose this is a column 0. Okay. After the traversing of the first column, we have to move on. Check that if previous column, suppose of that previous column, if previous column is less than the number of current column 0th, counting of 0 is less than, then what we will do, we will simply update our answer first of all, and answer will be denoted by our index, our column index, and now we will update our previous with my current 0. I hope you have to be able to understand what is the logic behind this. Now we have to be end the outer for loop. Okay, and before of this we have to be declare integer and answer is equal to -1 and and previous variable which is declared as 0. I hope you have to be able to understand what is the logic behind this. Okay, and we will simply return our answer, which is having a maximum number of zeros we have to be encounter. I hope you have to be able to understand. Now we have to be moving on implementation of this our approach. Okay, so this is our approach. We have to be simply declare integer variable which is having answer. We have to be initialized by -1. Because of that, if nothing of this element having getting a, if the matrix don't exist any zero, so we will simply return -1. That's why we have to be initialized by -1, and the previous will be initialized by 0. We have to be running two for loop, outer for loop and inner for loop. Okay, now we have to be increment our current index 0th element. Okay, now if it is current is greater than previous, then we will simply update our answer, and we have to be store the previous value by the current value, update by the previous value and the current value. I hope you have to be able to understand. Then after that we have to be simply return our answer. Okay, so this logic is working here. Okay, you have to be simply check that. Yeah, so our output is equal to the expected output. Okay, now this is the solution of C++, and here is the solution of Java. So you can simply check that nothing have to be changing into that coding implementation. So I hope you have to be able to understand what is the logic behind this. If you have any doubt, so please comment on my channel, please like my video, please subscribe my channel. Thank you.